Either you got to know everything or adhere to the God who does know all things.
First of all, what's wrong with appealing to absurdity?
Well, what we're going to do is just introduce ourselves to begin with and talk a little bit about your church and maybe how long the church has been up and planted, and just introduce yourself to the people who will be listening.
All right. Yeah, I'm Wes Handy, and I'm one of the pastors of Christ Our Hope Church in Clifton, New Jersey. We've been in Clifton for 2 years. The church, we've been constituted as a church about 1.5 years. So, that's where we are.
Tanner.
Yeah, my name is Tanner Turley. I serve as lead pastor of Redemption Hill Church in Medford, Massachusetts. It's just 5 miles north of downtown Boston. Our team, 3 families and a single lady, moved there in the summer of 2010, and we started worshiping as a community of faith on April 10th of 11. So we've been there 5 years. This coming April will be our 5th anniversary, and just really thankful for what God's doing, and want to be active and not only proclaiming the gospel but equipping our people to share Christ. And Tommy and the folks at Gospel of God Ministries have really helped kind of give us a spark, when they're able to visit and serve with us.
Anthony?
Yeah, my name is Anthony Cox. I'm an elder at Mercy Hill Church in downtown Phoenix. We're a new church plant, been on the ground for just a year now. But we have a 70-year history as we partnered with an existing church that was struggling to survive without leadership. The Lord brought our 2 families together to become one, and we're able to celebrate that just this past July. We have a history of really serving our community. We're located in the urban core, lots of diversity, socioeconomic, generational, ethnic. Lots of diversity that's there. So we really celebrate that as a family of believers who unite in the gospel community and mission. Tommy, we're grateful for your ministry, for Gospel of God Ministries, and all that we are learning together as we labor together.
Amen. Hey, my name is Tommy. I'm with Gospel of God Ministries, and I've had the privilege of working with all 3 of these guys, and even more faces in these churches that aren't represented here. So we appreciate you guys so much. All right, well, to start us off, I wanted to read a quote from Lecture to My Students from Charles Spurgeon, and it's found on page 236. And it says this: "It would be very easy to prove that revivals of religion have usually been accompanied, if not caused, by a considerable amount of preaching outdoors or in unusual places." Does anyone want to comment on that statement? What do we think about it? Good or bad? What do we think?
Like in terms of where revivals of religion have started?
Yeah, do you think he's on anything? Because he takes a whole chapter to talk about that. And why do you think the church has gotten away from this time-tested gift of open air preaching? Why is it that we have to knock the dust off this thing and pull it from the archives? I'm just going to throw it out there. What do you think?
I was thinking about the first question about, even his observation that these revivals have started outside the church, and that he's onto something. You look at the Great Awakenings, you look at all the global awakenings of the 20th century. I studied the Shandong Revival in China in the 1920s. That grew because they had meetings where they gathered together, the gospel was preached, but it grew because they sent out evangelists into the villages 2 by 2 to share the gospel. And droves and droves and droves of people came to Christ through that.
Okay.
So there's a that's where the people are. People aren't going to come to church. They're not a Christian. They probably could care less. So if you're going to reach people, you need to go where they are.
Amen.
Yeah, and those are good examples of faithful preaching, faithful gospel preaching. We know far too well that there are many poor examples of open air evangelism and people preaching in the hard places, in different places. And so I think just kind of wrestling through through those tensions, the church is kind of pulled out, thrown out the baby with the bathwater.
That's a good illustration.
And instead of just correcting the theology and not necessarily the method, but using the method to preach faithfully the whole gospel.
Amen. Tanner, do you have anything there?
Yeah, I just would echo the direction Wes was going with getting outside of the walls of the church, and that it isn't always the pastors or even the kind of sent missionaries that are at the tip of the spear of revival. In the Second Great Awakening, one of the key players there was Jeremiah Lanphier, and I think he was in New York City as kind of a layman working and seeking just to be used by God, and his simple prayer was, God, what would you have me do? And just that simple prayer led him to create some pamphlets for a prayer meeting, and he dished those out, hundreds of copies. I believe maybe one person came for those first 30 minutes. It maybe ended with 3 to 6. They said, let's do it again. The next week there were more than that. They started meeting every day. And so just through prayer, seeking God for revival, with the proclamation of the word, we see God do great things. So prayer driving the proclamation, our faithfulness to do that in whatever form it comes, those are the means the Spirit has chosen to use to awaken people inside and outside the church.
Well, thank you.